Okay, I don't know if this is going to be part 2 or sliced in the same video. You'll see when it's uploaded. My screen recorder thing, because we got a lot of moving parts on this podcast, kind of messed up. So, where are we on? Buff Bagwell and Lex Luger. Pretty solid match. What did you think about it?
Yeah, like I said, it was pretty decent.
Yeah. Definitely wasn't a blow your socks off match, but the NWO does pick up their second win here, and if you score it, how the commentator scored it, since the Giant kind of killed Hall, that's NWO 2, WCW 1. All right, now we have DDP and Kurt Hennig, another WCW versus NWO for the U.S. title. What do you think about this absolutely god-awful, wasted piece of trash?
I can't even speak on it.
Right away, Kurt Hennig goes for the perfect place, countered, diamond cutter, match over. New U.S. champion. Dave Meltzer rates it half star. I don't even know how you rate the darn match. It was 3 seconds. So we're going to move on to another. So now if we get the score, that is NWO 2, WCW 2. All right. Now we have Larry Zbyszko versus Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff does have Scott Hall in his corner for control of Nitro, with Bret Hart as the referee. Lots of shenanigans from Scott Hall in this match. I'm sure you assume that, though. Yeah. Larry Zbyszko wins by DQ after Hall actually hits Bischoff. But the ref saw it and he decides to, even though Larry wins by DQ, he hit Bischoff, but ref decides after he saw it to go ahead and give the win to Larry. So that means no matter what now, WCW has control of Nitro. Alright, so that is WCW 3, NWO 2. And now we're on to the big topic. Sting and Hogan. Hollywood Hogan versus Sting. The commentators counted that kind of as a draw, the Larry and Eric match. So it's 3-3, 2-2. This is the rubber freaking match. Nick Patrick is the referee. There was a good thing about this match. Can we talk about the Bruce Buffer introductions? What'd you think about the Bruce Buffer, the introductions?
I loved them.
I definitely thought they were. Yeah, keep going.
That's all I have to say.
I mean, I loved his, it's time, let's get ready to rumble. And during, Hogan's entrance, he was saying, this is the biggest challenge in this man's career. Making his way to the ring, representing the NWO, is your WCW Heavyweight Champion, Hollywood Hogan. Now, one thing I noticed is, right before the match starts, Hogan actually talks to Nick Patrick. I don't know if you saw this, Strayas. I think you told me you missed it, or did you actually go back and see it?
Actually, I didn't miss it, though.
Oh, you saw it?
No, I missed it.
Oh, you missed it. Okay. So, let's forget that for a second. According to the dirt sheets and Conrad Thompson, a man who works with Dave Meltzer, apparently, after the Montreal Screwjob and Bret Hart already being showed that he can be a referee, they decided to try to make a move to get Earl Hebner, but that didn't really pan out too well. According to Bischoff, that was never in the plans, and if anybody knew Hart at the time, there was not a fucking chance that he was letting that happen. And that comes straight out of Bischoff's mouth in an interview. Do you believe Bischoff there, or do you just think Earl Hebner didn't want to do this, or do you actually believe there was no chance Hart wanted to affiliate himself with WWE anymore?
There's no way Hart wants to affiliate himself with WWE anymore.
I definitely feel like that could be the option, but I do feel like Bischoff's the guy to lie it off because maybe Earl didn't want to work it. According to him, Earl says it's obvious that there's going to be a heel referee. Bischoff says it's obvious to who, and this comes straight from an interview. And it's obvious that there was going to be a heel referee, obviously. So they do bring Nick Patrick out there. But I do have to say, with all the Hart controversy going on right now, it would have been awesome to see Earl Hebner come out and do the referee. What do you think? Um, so apparently they had to change the finish a little bit. It was supposed to be a fast count from Nick Patrick, with Sting losing, and then obviously Hart avenging the wrong done to him by Survivor Series, getting the match restarted. Scorpion death drop, Scorpion submission, tap out, Scorpion splash, Scorpion death drop, tap the fuck out, and you got the new champion. But here's what I don't understand. Why didn't we do that in the first place?
Exactly.
And according to Patrick, Hogan changed it on the fly, and he didn't want to double cross Hogan because of the power he yields. Now, Eric Bischoff said later in interviews that was not true, and that Hogan didn't wield any power, even though at the NWO reunion, he said, "I heard this business was a work, brother, but when the man who makes the most money holds the belt, that's a shoot." Now, surprisingly, Nick Patrick was actually calling this down the middle. Hogan was actually stalling in the match a lot. And according to Eric Bischoff, the reason they had to change the finish up was because Sting came in 20 minutes before the meeting to discuss the match, like he had just woken up, and that he wasn't tan. Well, if he wasn't tan, why don't we just beat his pale ass? What do you think, Drace?
Exactly.
I mean, beat him. I don't understand. Instead, we got a bow to the master, Hulk Hogan, and we don't do it right. But for some reason, 2 months later, you give the belt to him at Super Brawl, and he beats Scott Hall. So does he magically have a tan now? Did you buy him a tanning bed and get him a sleep schedule? I mean, Bischoff would later say, who walked out with the championship? The right dude, but they messed up the finish. Is what the reporter said. How do we mess up the finish? And they yada yada yada, yada yada yada. But I mean, I guess in the end, Sting does walk out the champion. The next night on Nitro, they had a rematch. Sting wins again, and he goes on to have a 14-month reign as world champion before losing it at not WrestlePalooza. That's an ECW pay-per-view. At Fall Brawl to Goldberg, and that'll be Goldberg's first WCW World Heavyweight Championship match. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to the first episode of this podcast. Not a very long podcast to start. Obviously, we're still trying to get good at this, me and Andreas, so it's probably only going to be about 22 minutes long. So, Andreas, what'd you think about the first podcast?
Not bad.
Not terrible at all, but I mean, alright, so we have two decisions, Jace. We're going to go either WWE or an ECW pay-per-view next. You guys can decide in the comments as well. Me and Jace are going to talk it over. We're going to give you your options right now. We can either do Survivor Series 2020 or ECW One Night Stand 05. What would you rather do, Andres?
I'm going to say Survivor Series because there's a new era of wrestlers.
I do like to see that, but you know I do love my ECW, so I would rather see ECW One Night Stand 05. But it's up to you guys in the comments and on our Instagram page. Our Instagram page is all things wrestling _ podcast. You guys, the logo is all things wrestling radio with the microphone. You guys already know. Thank you guys for tuning into this podcast, and this is me and Andres signing off.